On today's show, the Cavs lose to the Sacramento Kings. It's their third straight loss. This is a losing streak. It's happened before. The sky's not falling, but we've got to talk about it on today's edition of Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? My name is Danny Cunningham. You might know me from my time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, places like my Substack, The Inside Shot, Cleveland Magazine, 92.3 The Fan, and a number of other stops along the way. I want to say thank you to you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button for me. Click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. A proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That is code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. The Cleveland Cavaliers fall to the Sacramento Kings 123-119 on Wednesday night out in Sacramento. Thursday morning, I guess the end of this game on the East Coast, or most of this game was played on Wednesday East Coast time. But this is the third straight loss for the Cavs, and the Cavs are not playing very good basketball right now. I think that this is kind of continuing their worst stretch of basketball of the season. I think the entire month of March, save for the game against Milwaukee and the game against Memphis, has been below the Cavs standard. And I think that it is finally starting to catch up to them. But in this game in particular, I thought that there were some things that went well. Like, we will spend time talking about how good Evan Mobley was, but there was a lot more that didn't go well. And the Cavs started off, I thought, really strong defensively. They held Sacramento to just 15 points in the first quarter. And when you have an offense as high-powered as the Cavs offense, even though it is very clearly not clicking on all cylinders right now, if a team scores 15 points in a quarter, whether it's first, second, third, or fourth, if an opponent scores 15 points in a quarter against the Cavs, that should be a game that the Cavs win. Like, there should be you shouldn't have to think anymore about that. But the Cavs played so poorly defensively, particularly in the second half. I thought that the second quarter was okay, not good, but it was okay defensively. The third quarter was atrocious. I thought they played absolutely horrific basketball in the third quarter, save for the final 90 seconds or 2 minutes of it when Evan Mobley took over. And then the fourth quarter, they couldn't get the stops when it mattered. In the second half of this game, Sacramento shot from the floor in the second half, the final 24 minutes. The Kings shot 68% against the Cavs in the second half. 68%. Like, there is championship level defense, and then there is really good defense, and then there is good defense, average, below average, and then whatever the Cavs played in the second half. But it was terrible. They could not get stops. And, they needed to find a way to outscore Sacramento, and they played offense well enough. Like, I do think that aside from the first quarter where they only scored 22 points, there are some good things to take away from this offensively. And that is the area where the Cavs have struggled more recently than the defensive end of the floor. But the way I'm kind of looking at this right now is the Cavs have now played in the month of March. I believe they've played 10 games. They've had two really nice wins. They've had two really nice performances, complete games, if you will. The game in Milwaukee, I thought they played relatively well. They didn't necessarily shoot the ball at the level we're used to seeing them shoot the basketball at in that game, but I thought they played well. And the game in Memphis, I thought they were awesome. And the final score does not do that game justice because the reserves were outscored by 11 points in the final 3.5 minutes. So that game was not close the way that the scoreboard might suggest it was. But the Cavs played awesome in that game. The other 8 games they've played this month, they're 5-3. They beat a bunch of bad teams at home during the winning streak, like Portland and Miami. They beat Chicago on the road. They beat Charlotte on the road. They won a game at home against the Nets. Like, those teams are nothing to write home about. None of those wins were impressive wins, and the Cavs really didn't play well in any of those games. Like, if one or two things go differently in any of those games, Maybe not the Chicago one because of the just absolutely crazy run they closed that game on where they scored 30 points in the final 5 minutes. But other than that, like the other 4, you can point and say, yeah, if, this goes differently, the Cavs could have lost this game. And then you could make the case in each of their most recent 3 losses on Wednesday against Sacramento, Tuesday against the Clippers, and Sunday against Magic, you could make the case, okay, if one or two things goes differently, the Cavs win that game. And maybe the only difference between what was happening earlier in the month and what's been happening over the last 3 games is that the teams the Cavs are playing are better. They're not great teams by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I think Orlando is a slightly below average team this year. I think the Clippers are an above average team this year. And I think the Kings are pretty average, but that's better than what we saw in Portland, Chicago, Miami, because those teams are not good, in Brooklyn too. So maybe that's part of it. And obviously Charlotte's the one team I didn't name. They stink. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe they're not actually playing any differently than they were earlier in the season. It's just harder to escape these miscues that they've been having against the better teams that they've played this week. But some of this stuff I do think is relatively simple. And listen, a big part of it is the shooting aspect of things, because the Cavs have not shot the ball to their standard lately. Like, that's just, they've not been very good offensively. And in the 3 losses, what's been the common theme here? They've been outscored from beyond the 3-point arc. And the Cavs are not a team that is only capable of winning with 3-pointers. They are a team that at their peak is capable of winning in so many different ways offensively. But on Sunday, they shot 25% from 3, 10-4. You just kind of chalk that up to, you know what? It's a bad shooting day. They were outscored by Orlando from beyond the arc. Orlando is dead last in made threes per game in the NBA. Tuesday, they were outscored by the Clippers from beyond the 3-point arc. The Clippers are 26th in the NBA in 3-pointers made per game. On Wednesday, they are outscored by the Sacramento Kings from beyond the 3-point arc. The Kings were 24th in made 3-pointers per game entering the night. Like, they're losing these games. They're getting outshot by teams that you would not expect them to. Part of it is the Cavs are not generating great looks. They're not generating, I think, enough threes right now. But part of it too is other teams are shooting over their heads. So, like, that does have to be part of the conversation. Some of it's not great defense. Others of it, like, I thought that some of the threes that the Clippers hit the other night, even a couple of threes that the Kings hit, okay, that's going to happen. Like, that's just basketball sometimes. But the defense was not good enough, in the same way that the defense was not good enough against the Clippers. I thought it was against the Magic. But overall, this is a team that just right now, for whatever reason, and I don't think that the world is ending. Like, the Cavs have lost 3 straight games, and I think we need a little bit of grace, I guess, here. Like, they're 56-13. They're going to be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They might not be the number 1 overall seed anymore, because now OKC does have a game lead on them for that. But they're a team that's still in a really, really good spot. And I think that you do have to mention that when having this conversation. And it is much more important that they're playing their best basketball 1 month from today, when they will be playing their first playoff game on April 20th, compared to right now, where they've lost 3 straight games. Like, if you have to pick that, you are, of course, picking that they're playing their best basketball when the postseason arrives. And right now, the Cavs are not playing their best basketball. That is not the end of the world. And I do think that the shooting will come back. But I think that the biggest issue for them is it can be difficult for them to play really well offensively when they're not getting strong guard play. Like, I think Ty Jerome has been okay lately. I don't think Donovan Mitchell has been very good. Darius Garland did not play in this game, but he hasn't been great lately. So that matters in this conversation. Like, it matters that they're not getting great guard play. I think that you can make the case that 3/4 of the core 4 is not playing very good basketball right now. And Evan Mobley played terribly, I thought, against the Clippers, but he had a great bounce back. Like, I thought he was the best player on the floor in this game against the Kings. But the Cavs are just doing things that are so counterintuitive to winning. Like the turnovers on Wednesday night. They didn't have a ton of them. They only had 12, but it felt like all of them were live ball turnovers that gave the Kings a free run to the basket, right? Like, the Kings they created 12 turnovers. They finished with 9 steals. And of course, some of those turnovers are not live ball, but the Kings had 9 steals. They had, off of the 12 turnovers, 23 points the Kings scored. So that is almost 2 points per turnover. You can do the math there. That is incredibly efficient. Like, that is one of the areas where the Cavs lost this game. They had, I thought, some very careless turnovers, like Jarrett Allen, who I don't think is doing a very good job with the basketball in his hands right now. I think that has been a disaster. And I think that you are seeing some effects of that hand injury he's playing through. You saw him get stripped in the fourth quarter. You saw Donovan Mitchell have a terrible pass to Ty Jerome that gets picked off and goes the other way for a dunk in the fourth quarter. Like, this is something, and even one of the turnovers that the Cavs had, Markelle Fultz just missed a breakaway dunk. Like, it could have been worse. But it felt like every time the Cavs made a mistake, the Kings were there to capitalize on them. And maybe that hasn't always happened. Like, I do think the Cavs during this month have gotten bailed out from some of their mistakes. And you know what? Great teams are going to find a way to bail themselves out of mistakes. And the Cavs have done that at times, and they deserve credit for that. But overall, the Cavs are not playing great basketball right now. They're not playing their best basketball, not even close to it. This was a game that they should have won. I really do think that, you can say the Clippers shot above their heads, and you can talk about the second half, and we will talk a little bit more about that coming up, about the second half that the Kings had offensively. But the Cavs should have won this game, considering Zach LaVine didn't play for the Kings. Domantas Sabonis didn't play for the Kings. Yes, Darius Garland missed the game for the Cavs, but this was a game that even on the second night of a back-to-back, that I really did think the Cavs were going to find a way to win. And I haven't felt that way about all the games they've won, but this one I did. And I was a little surprised to see them not win this game. So what exactly went wrong, and what would, if I were in charge, let's play this game. If I were in charge, what would I have tried to change about the way the Cavs played on Wednesday night? We'll do that next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY in your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. That is Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time, and there's nothing like watching basketball live. There's a lot of live basketball that's going to be taking place today. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, maybe even celebrity sighting courtside, depending on what city you're in. Cleveland, certainly there's going to be some coming up. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever before. And Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on the best seats. So you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands and thousands of tickets that maybe you don't want to be in. Maybe you just want that best deal on the best seat. That's exactly where Game Time Picks comes in. They even highlight super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. And with seat views before you buy, there's no surprise fees and a lowest price guarantee, so you can book with confidence. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, find the show anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed. Make sure you are also subscribing to the Locked On Cavs daily newsletter, your one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox for free every single weekday. You can sign up at lockedondaily.com. So what went wrong exactly for the Cavs in this game? I sort of spent the first segment talking about the month as a whole and how they're just not playing great basketball. But there were a couple of things late that stood out to me as why the Cavs lost this game. Some of them were the turnovers. Like the Cavs, I don't think had a ton of fourth quarter turnovers. I have to go back and look exactly how many they had. They only had 2 fourth quarter turnovers. They both resulted in layups for the Kings, but they both came in bad spots. Like they both felt like back-breaking turnovers on a night when the Cavs struggled to get stops anyways. But the thing that really stood out to me was removing Evan Mobley from the game with about, I want to get the time right, but it was around 7 minutes and 40 something seconds, I believe it was. The Cavs had a lead when it happened. So Evan Mobley checked out with 7 minutes and 48 seconds. And the Cavs were up 101-99 when he checked out. Keon Ellis was at the free throw line for Sacramento. So really 101-100, we'll say. Jared Allen came in, and right now I don't think Jared Allen's playing very well. I think Jared Allen is gutting through a hand injury. I think it is affecting the way he's able to play. I think it's affecting the way he's able to rebound. I think it's affecting what he's capable of doing offensively in terms of handling the basketball on the perimeter. Not that you ever want Jared Allen, dribbling in traffic, but it's even, he got stripped holding the basketball. I believe he had 2 turnovers on Wednesday night. And I think it's been a much more difficult thing for the Cavs guards to get him the ball in the paint because I think that opponents are recognizing that he's just a little weak with the basketball right now. So Evan checks out after having a great end of the third quarter and start of the fourth quarter. Like he went on a stretch where he scored 15 straight points for the Cavs. He had at one point the previous 15 points for the Cavs. And that was the reason why the Cavs were in this game, because they trailed in the third quarter. They were down by 11 in the third quarter. And Evan Mobley brought them back to only being down 2 going into the fourth quarter. Like that was all because of the way Evan Mobley closed out the third. He was fantastic. He had 20 points in the second, or 22 points, in the second half on 12 shots. He had 3 threes in the second half. He had 8 rebounds. Like he was a monster in the second half. And I get it. That is part of the regular rotation that Kenny Atkinson abides by, that he's going to do, that he's going to operate by. And I understand all of that. And the thinking behind it is that they want Evan Mobley to be fresh for the final few minutes of the game as he's going to close it out. I totally get that. But the same time they pulled Evan for Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell was off the floor. And on a night when Darius Garland is playing, that's one thing to do. But with Darius Garland out, I feel like that was a coaching mistake, that might have been the time to deviate from the rotation, that it's okay. The Cavs needed offense. I mean, they needed defense too, and pulling Evan Mobley off the floor is pulling the defensive player of the year off the floor. But they needed more help offensively. Like, I don't think that in this game, and I understand that you're going to have stretches for it because Evan and Donovan are paired, and Donovan's not even playing great basketball right now. But it was hard to have minutes where neither of those guys were on the floor, just because that's putting a lot on the shoulders of Ty Jerome. And Ty is capable of, running an offense and doing that stuff, but that's putting a lot on him. And you don't necessarily have a go-to scorer. And you really only have one guy that can create for others. Like DeAndre Hunter is on the floor in those situations, and he can create for himself, but he's not necessarily a guy I look at and say, yeah, that guy can create for others. So Evan Mobley then checks back into the game a few minutes later. He comes back in with 4:44 left in the game, and the Cavs are down 109-107. So they were outscored when he was on the bench. He comes in for Isaac Okoro. So he's on the floor with Max Strus, Jarrett Allen, Donovan Mitchell, and DeAndre Hunter. That's the 5 that the Cavs have on the floor. Evan Mobley then, the next possession, the second possession, he's on the floor offensively. So he checked in when the Cavs had the ball. Not that possession, but the possession following. He has the ball, goes to the basket, misses a layup, taps his own miss in for the points, ties the game at 109 with 3:52 left Evan's at 31 points at this point. He's been the best player on the floor for the Cavs essentially the entire night. He's been absolutely scorching hot in the second half. He doesn't take another shot. Like, that is something that I think is inexcusable from his teammates. I think it's an inexcusable thing from the coaching staff. I think it's an inexcusable thing from Evan to not be more aggressive and get the basketball and go. And sure, give Sacramento credit, like they were able to sort of funnel the basketball elsewhere. But Evan Mobley was the best player in this game, not just for the Cavs, but he was the best player in this game. I thought that the offense needed to be run through him down the stretch, and it wasn't. And listen, Donovan Mitchell played better down the stretch. Like, he made some big baskets, made a 3-pointer at the end that made it close. He got fouled on a 3, he got to the basket, did some nice things, but Evan was the most effective guy. Like, he was really good. And I just think that, too, as we talk about Evan's development, having those moments where, one, he leads the team back because of what he's doing offensively, I think that's a really big deal for him. And I think that those are the moments where you should try and keep building on those. Even if this is a game that, should have been a win, wasn't, but I think it would have made more sense to empower him in the fourth quarter in a way that he wasn't. Like, only having 2 shot attempts essentially in the final 5 minutes of the game, of a close game where he's got it going. Like, this isn't the game against the Clippers where he was just not good. This was the game where he was the best player on the floor. Like, that is something that should never happen. It's happened before, but this is not something that should happen because the Cavs are at their best when Evan Mobley is at his best. And I thought Evan Mobley was at his best on Wednesday night. So the fact that they didn't get the most out of him, I thought that was one of the more, I don't know if egregious is the right word, but I thought that was a misstep by the team and by the coaching staff to not try and run more things through Evan Mobley. Like, as I watch this game, it's like, why are there possessions where Evan Mobley is not even touching the basketball? Like, that should not happen in that type of game. That should be the thing that is avoided. There was one other thing that is a little bit of a minor thing, but it's worth bringing up. And we'll do that next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Or maybe you need to post a job, which is free and simple. And within a day, multiple qualified candidates will be able to choose from it. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale any business efficiently. So what you need to do is visit Upwork.com, that is UPWORK.com right now, and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, again, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, you can find the show on YouTube. And if you're watching right now, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. The other thing that I thought should have been differently about this game is the closing lineup. And I understand that the lineup that I'm about to throw out there is a little bit unconventional. And I understand that, maybe the Cavs were a little bit short on playmaking without Darius Garland. So I get having Ty Jerome in there. But Dean Wade should have been on the floor to close this game. So Dean got the start in place of Darius Garland. They opted to play bigger, where they shifted Donovan to the 1. Max Strus was at the 2. Dean played the 3. Evan Mobley played the 4. And Jarrett Allen played the 5. So I thought Dean was one of the best players for the Cavs in this game. He finished the night playing 23 minutes, and the Cavs outscored the Kings by 17 points in those 23 minutes. He had 12 points, made 4 threes, which was important, 7 rebounds, which was another really important thing. Like a night after getting absolutely crushed on the glass, the Cavs did a much better job of it. They were only out rebounded by 4, but they still gave up 14 offensive rebounds. Like that is a number that is far too high. It was a better team effort in terms of rebounding. Like they had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys have 4 more rebounds, which is a good thing. Like that is something that you certainly want. But on a night where they struggled, they lost this game because of defense. And I do think that the way Donovan played in the fourth offensively was satisfactory enough. I think that maybe Evan Mobley should have been involved a lot more offensively. But at the end of the day, the Cavs lost this game because the Kings shot 68% from the floor in the second half. They shot 68% in the second half. In the fourth quarter, they shot 66%. The Cavs needed more defense on the floor. I really think if Dean Wade plays in the fourth quarter in that closing group, and it's not as if he sat the bench the entire fourth quarter, he played 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And oh, yeah, of course, in those 3:53, the Cavs outscored the Kings by 7 points. There were 2 guys that played in the fourth quarter that had a positive plus minus in the fourth quarter for the Cavs. Dean Wade at +7, Evan Mobley at +1. I thought Dean should have played instead of Ty Jerome in that final slot. It's not anything against Ty. It's not as if he was necessarily bad. I mean, he missed the only shot he took, which came near the buzzer, so he wasn't super impactful on either end. I think that having Dean Wade out there probably would have helped alleviate some of those defensive woes. And maybe you have Isaac Okoro out there instead of Max Strus too, to really lean in defensively, and that makes you feel a little bit better about the lineup and playing Dean or DeAndre at the 3 and 4. But I thought that would have been a really good chance to see that lineup in closing time. And that is one of the things that I think if this game gets played over, I do wonder if Kenny would have changed that. I don't think he was asked about it after the game, but that is something that certainly I'm interested in. Like that was one of the things that stood out to me. It's like, you know what? I just don't know that this is the best lineup for what the Cavs need right now. Especially considering who had it going on offensively. And listen, Donovan was good in the fourth quarter. He had 10 points on 50% shooting. Like he was good enough in the fourth quarter. He wasn't great all game, but he was good enough in the fourth quarter. Having more defense, having Dean Wade out there, I think would have been a boost for them in the fourth quarter. Now, the Cavs continued this road trip. They've got Phoenix on Friday, which that's a game they should win. Like the Suns have no desire, it appears right now, to play basketball. Yes, they're dangerous because they have Devin Booker, they have Kevin Durant, they have Bradley Beal. Like they have a lot of talent on that team, but that is not a team that looks like it wants to play basketball together. And then they've got the Utah Jazz on Sunday. They should win the next 2 games. We'll see if they do. I don't think that anything they do in these next 2 games are going to be like, oh man, the Cavs are fixed. And truthfully, I think that we're going to need to see it for probably a couple of weeks before the postseason arrives, before I'm comfortable just being like, yeah, okay, the Cavs are back to being elite at basketball again, because they haven't been this month. It's not the end of the world that they haven't been. This loss against the Sacramento Kings does not change whether or not they're capable of winning the title this year. The same way that the loss to the Clippers didn't change that, or the loss to the Magic didn't change that. I think this is kind of a bad loss. I do. But I also don't think it's the end of the world. The Cavs are on a losing streak. It happens. It's happened before. At some point in the future, maybe not this year, but at some point in the future, the Cleveland Cavaliers will be on a losing streak again, and the sun will come up tomorrow the same way that it came up today. This is not a referendum on whether or not they'll be good in the postseason. I do think a big part of this, and maybe I should have spent more time in today's show talking about it, I think a big part of it is this team looks tired. They do. They look exhausted. March is a rough month for them. They have 16 games, I believe, in 29 days or something like that. They don't have back-to-back days off again until March 31st and April 1st. I think they really need that to be like right now. But this is where we're at in the season. I do not view these games as something that is telling us about this team for the postseason. But that doesn't mean you can't be frustrated if you're a fan. I totally get that because this team is just not playing anywhere near its potential right now. And at some point, that'll change. Maybe it'll start on Friday, but we will see. I will be back tomorrow talking a little bit about the bigger picture with this team and just exactly what is going on as I get to kind of compose my thoughts a little bit more. But thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today. Thank you for making it your first listen every single day. I very much appreciate it. The show has grown so much in the last 6 to 8 months, whatever it is, since I've taken over. It's really been incredible. I'm so happy that I get to interact with you guys, that I get to be your first listen every day. I really do appreciate it. So if you could hit that thumbs up button on YouTube, or maybe leave me a 5-star rating, review, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will be back tomorrow talking more about the Cleveland Cavaliers.